What story have you told yourself? But more importantly, what story do you believe of yourself?
Welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello, and today I've got Austin Linney on the show. Austin, welcome.
Thanks for having me, man. Super excited to be here.
It's awesome to have you here. And it looks like we have a bunch of mutual friends where we were both just joking that we keep seeing each other pop up like different Facebook groups. And
like Kevin Bacon over here, you know?
Yeah. It's like that reticular activating system where I've heard your name a few times, and literally every time I meet someone, they're like, you need to connect with Austin Linney. And I'm like, okay, let's make this happen. So It's great to connect with you. And Austin, you are a serial entrepreneur, real estate investor, business and mindset coach, and you also host the Construct Your Life podcast. You said that you live in an RV. You don't really have a place that you stay out of, right? So you're traveling. Can you introduce yourself real quick? Is there anything else you'd like to add on to the man of many different amazing talents and backgrounds?
Yeah, I think one of the best ways I love to introduce myself is, divorced, formerly homeless, meth addict, alcoholic, businessman, motivator, all those things, and so.
Wow. Yeah.
What's interesting about life is that, something I learned from a young age, my dad was a successful entrepreneur in a nice neighborhood is don't let all the nice trappings of life let you think that there's nothing going on. It's like,
right.
When I was 17 years old, I didn't really care for school that much. It wasn't my thing. I had a photographic memory. And so my parents were like, hey man, so it's either military school or Beaumont, Texas. And I'm like, well, I don't know where Beaumont is, but it sounds way better than, here. So I went there, and then, proceeded 3 months later, my parents wound up getting divorced. And then I proceeded to tell myself that, I was the reason that my family broke up. It was me. It's me being a bad person. And that seed of like, just victimhood and terrible things I said to myself was kind of the quintessential start to my addiction to cocaine and meth, which then turned into, a 20-year alcohol addiction. And there's a lot of self-discovery, not by purpose, through all that stuff.
I can imagine.
I've been sober for 4.5 years. I've lost 80 pounds.
Wow.
Awesome. I started a podcast, and all these things have happened, right? But ultimately, all of it started with just the stories I told myself. And the question that you have to ask yourself, for anybody that's listening out there, is what story? Here's the most important thing. What story have you told yourself? But more importantly, what story do you believe of yourself?
Right.
And I think there's two different distinctions. Like, I could tell you the story that today it's me and you talking, and I'm very excited that I've had a long, strenuous day of work, but I'm here, right? And if I don't show up in the best version of myself, for anybody that's listening to this, who knows about that person that might hear this 3 years from now that needed that message right in that moment, so I can get up for that. And I think a lot of people don't believe they have something to offer.
Yeah.
So they cower and be playing small.
That's
and
so
the thing
true.
is like what I was talking to my friend about this year, my theme for this year was chasing my edges.
Your edges.
Like, my edges. So the edges of what I'm capable of doing. Like, what is it possible, right? So I framed that for a post I sent 2 days ago. In the last 115 days, and I'm using the number very strategically, in 115 days, we've launched 9 businesses, and we're in contract on $28 million worth of real estate, right? Now here, I'm saying all that to say that I all year have been chasing my edges, and here's the rub: I ain't found one yet. And so the question is that version of myself a year ago, was that the edge of where I could get to, or what is it what I was telling my mind?
That's mind-blowing. Yeah.
And so when you start breaking through these ceilings, I had a client tell me, right? I had a client tell me the other day, so really, when you get your mindset right, there are no ceilings. And I go, correct. And so when you it's been this process of like creating a space where emotional, like I'm a very emotional person. Like, I get excited about everything. I'm not really good when it comes to a real estate deal. Like, I thank God I have partners who like hate everything. Like, they're like,
they're very numbers detailed.
Yeah. He's like, slow down. but for me, as I started getting sober, first it was health, and then it was like, how do I rein in my emotions?
Mm-hmm.
Like, in order to be like a big business guy that's doing big deals, like my whole theme was emotional stability. Like, I need to be like, so I started studying Stoic philosophy. I started, okay, well, what does that mean? Okay, so they're neutral, right? They're neutral thinking. Okay. So if they're neutral thinking, then I'm not going to get too high. I'm not going to get too low, but I'm still going to be excited. I'm still going to be me, right?
Yeah.
And the number one thing I found in life, no matter what you're going through, good or bad, it's never really as bad as you seem, and it's never really as good as you seem. It's probably somewhere in the middle, right?
I
So
love that.
they had something there. Okay, well then that's great. So here's the problem. I have themes for the year, but emotional stability was such a big thing for me. I had to carry it over 2 years, and so we got that in there. And then the year after that was expansion. So expansion in all ways, expansion in my mind, my business, what I can create. And so this year is about experiences and chasing my edges. So every time I don't want to spend that dollar, or I'm going to do something in life, I'm saying, would this be a great experience for my life? Yes, it will be. Okay, then I'm going to do it anyway.
Right.
And so what a lot of people I found in business consulting, especially, is like, we'll use you as an example. I'm just spitballing here. I'm not saying, oh, you know what? Actually, I'll talk about a client. I have a client that's extremely successful, very, very successful, created tons of money, high level coach, great business guy, even doubling what he did last year. But when I first started working with him, so his favorite thing in the entire world is two things: fishing and golfing. That's his favorite things. The last time he did either was 3 years ago. And so he's feeling stuck. He's feeling, well, I know, but those things don't make me money.
Right.
Or do they? Or do they?
Yeah.
Or do they? Right? Can you show up? And so think of life as a circle. And we tend to, people only focus on the things that make us money. But by not doing the things that fill us up, it's hard to show up for the things that make us money.
Yeah.
And so it's a circle. And
I love
so
that.
he'd ask me every week, what is it that you need me to work on this week? I said, I need you to go play golf twice. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And guess what? He is making triple what he was making previously.
That's amazing. That's a great reminder. And I think it, like you said, you never know who's going to need that message today or when they listen to it 3 years from now. And I had just been sharing something like that similar on my stories of I feel like I can't have fun and I don't deserve it and I'm not where I want to be yet. So I don't have time to do all those things or make friends because I got to build my business and make more money and close more deals. But like you said, it's a circle because I'm not doing those things that fill my cup and re-energize me. It makes it so much harder to show up for those things that I feel like I have to do.
I have a real problem with real estate on a couple different things. One, people are investing in real estate to get out of something instead of to enhance something.
Right.
This isn't a lottery ticket.
They're trying to escape whatever
it
is that
the
they don't
second
like.
thing I have in real estate problem is they act like when they obtain some type of level of real estate that they're not going to keep buying.
They magically arrive. Yeah.
Like, are you like, are we in this game? Like, our business plan for our company is 50 years long. Like, are we in this game? Like, it's never going to stop. So stop acting like you're an investor for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Are you an investor for your life? Or are you an investor for the rest of your time? And when you play that long game, yeah, you're taking it on the chin over and over again, but you're not knowing what's going to stack up. Like when I described my 115 days, right? That's 39 years in the making. Do you know how much money I've lost in business? Do you know how much drugs I've done? Do you know how much alcohol I've done? Do you know how much shitty taking it on the chin I've done just now? So what am I going to do? Take the 115 days? Goes, well, I'm good.
I'm done.
I'm successful. No, and ultimately, so there's this book I read that I bought probably 60 copies, and it's called What You Say When You Talk to Yourself. What you say when you talk to yourself. And basically what he's saying is that your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between success and reality. So if that's the case, if you just tell yourself I am successful, well, then you're successful.
Yeah.
And more importantly, the successful meter, whatever you call it, is always moving. And so ultimately, if you're hanging your hat on how you're doing in business and it's riding up and down, well, then that's going to be extremely exhausting because I did it for years. So now my why is to create jobs. So if my why is to create jobs, tell me how you can compete with me.
That's a powerful why. Yeah, you're
You
not just
can't.
in it for the
You
money.
can't. And it doesn't exist because I had to remove my attachment off of, because let's be honest, some deals close, some don't. Some cost you money, some make you money.
Yep.
And if you live that life, it's going to be extremely exhausting.
Again, very timely because we tie our identity oftentimes to our success or our production. And I know many people in real estate this year, you know, deals falling apart, market shifting, things like that, right? A lot of people are feeling terrible about themselves because they're not at their numbers they were at last year, myself included.
Well,
And
what's interesting is this is my message to all you real estate agents.
Much needed.
No, this is my message. Y'all are the same. No offense, y'all are the same SOBs because I coach mainly agents, so that's why I'm laughing. You're the same SOBs that didn't want my advice 2 years ago. You're the same ones that when the market was running hot and I told you to start putting money away, I got it. Well, guess what? Right, my favorite Dan Kennedy quote ever. Let's wait till the tide comes out and see who's wearing swimming trunks.
Swimming naked, yeah.
You know, but I love it, right? Because think about it. To all you agents out there that are listening to this right now, this is an opportunity for you to reconstruct your life and more importantly, your boundaries with you and your client, to take some space to get back into life. Because let's be honest, it's been for 2 years, it's been running at Mach 30. Right. So you can look at this as an opportunity to come back that much stronger because now you've redefined your why, you've reassociated your identity with who you are. And guess what? That's only going to attract better clients.
Exactly. You know, the two books that come to mind, just based on what we're talking about from Simon Sinek, Start With Why. You got to know your why. But also the other book he has is called The Infinite Game, where it talks about there's no finish line. Like those who are playing the infinite game, the 50-year legacy business, they're going to win over the person who's just trying to retire after acquiring 6 rentals or whatever.
We build businesses. That's like our specialty, right? And we build people. But think about it this way. One of my favorite books in the entire world, I've read it like 5 times, Built to Sell. And basically he says this. He says, look, even if you're not going to sell your business, it's better to build a business that is sellable. Yeah. Because it's a better constructed business. Well, that's the same way with you as a person. Building your business as a real estate investor or real estate agent, you know, if you're a multifaceted person that can operate from a place of mindset, health, all these things, then you're not going to be so beholden onto the market because you're just going to operate like you're a machine. And the thing is like with good, there's bad. With bad, there's good. As a real estate investor, yeah, it's not ideal, but it's a lot more pleasurable to talk about deals these days. I'm getting $1 million off. You're getting 100,000 off. You're buying this. You're creating a why behind the property, right? And so, you know, I'll use a perfect example. I have a young kid who found us the deal, who's new into his business, and he's about to sell a $90 million piece of property. Right, that's his thing, right? Like he I don't know how. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't. I digress. Right.
That's amazing. He got it under contract, or like he.
Yeah. But you know what I told him?
Yeah. Don't let it get to your head.
No. I said that's great. Guess what? There's
Go
two ways. There's 2 ways this can go down. No, I'm being dead serious. You're never, ever going to reach that feeling that you're ever going to get again. So you can sit around for the next 5 years and search for it. Or you can move on to the next challenge in your life. Well, you're telling me I'm going to walk away? No, I'm not saying you're going to walk away. I'm saying you're going to add something in that's a dream of yours. Mm-hmm. And you're going to, and I broke him down a 3-year vision, and he goes, holy crap. Okay, I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know how to break it off into portions. And because I reached the pinnacle of what I did, which was a master bartender and sold wine for years, and I chased that high because I was working at the best restaurant and the best economy at the best time. We were making, falling out of a bucket, making more money than you've ever made in your life. That's how I paid for my first real estate deals, my first 3. But for 3 years, I tried to hang on too long, and I was so unhappy. And it's that next mountain. Where's the next mountain after that? Yeah. And a lot of people don't plan that far ahead.
Right. And you need something to chase because otherwise you have no sense of purpose. I always hear about people who retire and then all of a sudden they just magically die somehow very soon after because they literally have nothing to wake up and live for and they get bored, right? Maybe they love golf, but if you're retired and you're golfing for 3 months in a row, I'd imagine you feel like some lack of purpose or mission or a why powerful enough to
Have you heard the story
change
of
their
the Tom
lives.
Shoes founder?
I'm not sure if I have or if I have, it's been a
He was on
while.
Ed Milet. He got a wire
Okay.
transfer of $350 million to his bank account.
Did he
And
sell off Tom's or what?
Yeah, he sold off Tom's, and
Okay.
he did not leave bed for 3 months. He went into a deep, dark depression, and he started a new company about psychology for entrepreneurs.
Wow.
Because he went through it himself, because he didn't have
An
his
exit
next
plan.
thing.
Yeah.
There's a great book called Owner's Business Dilemma, and it breaks down. And he said the problem with selling your business is 80% of the people die hiking on the descent.
Wow.
If you don't have the next plan, like I have, okay, for the next year and 6 months, we're going to do this in our business. Okay. Then at 2024, we're going to switch to doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2026, we're going to do this. In 2028, I'm going to switch to this. And at 50 years old, I'm going to switch around and do this. Like I know all that. And I'll be honest with you, I already even know what's going to take place at 75.
That's awesome.
I already know. Like, and my buddy was like, to have a crystal clear vision that much, like it helps guide you through. Because here's what they don't tell you. The vehicle that you need to show up in this season is different, but the driver never changes. That's and so powerful. Sometimes I need to be a four-wheel 4x4. Sometimes I need a minivan. Sometimes I need a Corvette, depending on the situation. Sometimes I got to be the a-hole. Sometimes I got to be the David Goggins. Sometimes I got to be the soft one. Right. But me, because I'm so comfortable in who I am, this never changes. That's the difference. In my 20s, I was a chameleon. The driver's changing all the time instead of letting people dictate how I operate. But when you get firm in what your vision is, then the vehicle can change, but you don't change. That's the number one issue that people have, is they're adapting to their client. Okay, well, I need to be this. Well, yeah, but then you're just attracting the wrong person, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you know your why, you know your vision, then you attract the right clients. And the clients can say, I can see myself in you. Let's go do business together. And I worry, like I really do worry about real estate agents. I really do. Because it is a thankless 24/7, no boundaries. I sacrifice my health. Here's my philosophy on real estate agents. I really 100% believe this. A real estate agent's career is an NFL running back's career. Dang. You got 3 to 5 years of prim prop, high end, make your cash, and then you got to transition to an investor agent or growing a team or being an investor solely or Airbnb, whatever it is. But I think you have 3 to 5 years to run at that speed, and that's it. And the problem is that most hang on too long past that.
Right. And then they don't know what to do next, and they don't have much saved up to show for it.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's a lot of business owners or even self-employed people in general. They're always running out of money, or their business is growing. They're pouring it all back in and not taking any cash for themselves. Mm-hmm. Do you see that a lot with some of your clients?
24/7. We have a philosophy, and I got a lot of my CEOs doing. I need you to take some chips off the table.
Yep.
So we can make future decisions based off of a calm mind.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like our business model is set up to generate cash for the next. We have equity positions in many companies, but it's to generate cash over the next year and 6 months, so we can make future decisions past 2024 from a not needing it point of view, because then we're officially playing a legacy long game. Right. But a lot of people don't think about that. Where, like, let's be honest, like a lot, I CEO one business, we're 2.5 years in, we haven't break even. We're finally going to break even. Now, granted, I've only been around for the last 6 months, but we're finally going to break even this month. And then guess what? We're going to hockey stick up like a freaking animal 6 months from now, right? But that took $250,000 on the front end. And so, understanding that concept of, I think this is the way it should be structured. If I could do anything in my life and go back to 20 years old, this is exactly what I would do. I think there's 3 types of money. That's what I think. I think there's wealth money, which is equity plays, multifamily businesses, long-term. I think there's long-term exits. So means, selling a house, selling a business in a short 2 to 3 span, selling a multifamily. And then there's what makes me money every month. And the way that we have it structured is we live off 30%. The other 45% is invested in long-term assets, buying businesses, investing in real estate, fund, crypto, etc. Then 10% is charity and 10% is for our staff. And because we're willing to take that sacrifice, that 40%, 45% is going to be recycled 10 times over before it ever touches our bank account.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
and
awesome.
so doing that, you're going to kind of just compound over and over again. Right. Whether that's investing in a whole life insurance, whether that's investing in a business, whatever that is. And so a lot of people, especially when they're getting into real estate investing, they're needing that first couple properties to be something more than it is, when really all it is practice.
Right.
Like getting comfortable with like, hey man, this is kind of scary. There's a lot of money at play. The AC went out. Like once you get more comfortable with those kind of mechanisms, it really becomes like, okay, we can do that. I've seen that before. Blah, 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 blah. Like I have a theory and I'm still working through it, but I almost believe it to be true. It's not the absence of knowledge that's affecting us. Everybody knows what to do. They've listened to the podcast, they've read. It's the absence of the comfortableness with the emotion.
Yeah, that's the hard part, is controlling the emotions, which I know you said you spent 2 years doing, right?
Yeah, because that emotion of getting at the closing table and that money going out, or you raising the money, that's where it gets scary. But here's what's crazy. I have a client who just launched his first Airbnb, and he launched it 4 days ago, and he's going to net 2,500 already in this month. And he's like, holy crap. And I'm just using this as an asset class. It doesn't really matter how you invest.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like, he's like, okay, I've officially broken through the mindset where I'm making money that's not attached to my job. This changes everything. And now he's like, let me get 3, let me leave my job, let me go start my own business. And it's like that quickly.
It's making sense. Yeah.
Like, but let me tell you, it's been a 6-month odyssey doing the work himself. And you know what's crazy? He could have easily paid to have somebody do the work. And I told him no. I said, on the next one, yes. This one, I need you to feel it. I need you to be there at 10 o'clock at night painting the brush.
Yeah.
To know that you should never do this again. and so now he gets it, right? But like you have to walk through those things, because now he knows if people are trying to screw him over on the price.
Yep.
You've done it yourself. It's just the steps you have to take.
Absolutely. Baby steps, and getting the hands-on experience needed to understand what the process looks like, who, like you said, not getting screwed over down the road by somebody else who's trying to quote 3 times more than you really need. And of course, people get taken advantage of all the time because they've never done that. Guilty. I like to delegate things too fast. I'm like, you just do it.
Me too.
Is that the quote?
I did.
Okay.
I did it too. Don't worry. Been there, done that. Yeah.
And then everyone else is like, you paid that much for that? Dude, you should have like dug in a little more, asked me for my AC guide. I'm like, sorry, didn't know. So lessons are always being learned no matter what area or stage you are at, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yo, dude, it's
a never ending
we're dealing. Yeah, the lessons don't get easier; they just get more expensive and hurt more.
They have more zeros at the end, but also
I mean, dude, we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with the partnership that went south with all good intentions, and we're trying to be as amicable as possible. We're not happy. I'm not happy with him. I don't care what he thinks about me, because I know we have good partners and I know what they look like. So, but that was a conversation that me or my partner did not want to have. And I said, does it serve us to continue to let this play out, or does it serve us getting in there and being awkward, having it? And you know what's happened ever since we had the conversation and we kind of like agreed to part ways? Like, new partners showed up. They're amazing. We're doing 30 times more than we thought we were willing, but that's because we were willing. What really happened is what him and the other one showed us what a great partner is and showed us what a not so great partner is. So it's a barometer, right? And the thing is like what I tell myself, this is just me personally, to all my business partners and the guys that own the company with me. I, myself, Austin Linney, have to earn your partnership every day. I have to wake up every day, and as a partner, I have to fulfill the obligations necessary of this partnership. And it's not a given. Mm-hmm. Every day I have to earn that. And so when you say that to yourself, it really makes it easy to show up every day and work for the team, right? And nobody questions where Austin is. Nobody's like, oh, it's like Austin. No, and like, guess what? He's with his young kids and he wants to take the weekend off, and I'm still selling on the weekend. Like, or like I'm not working Friday because I'm over here doing this. Like, nobody's questioning where everybody is. They're just saying, you're like, it's a lifestyle creation. And so like, we're always working. And the thing is that for a lot of people, this doesn't work. Like, there's a lot of things going on in my world. Like today is like, health insurance, crypto, like blah, blah, blah. It's like, podcast, this coaching. It's like, but my brain works that way. So it's easy for me to consume it. I love it. Right. It keeps me fresh. But a lot of my life I spent, not leaning into those things because people told me to slow down. Right. People told me like, oh, don't do that. Don't focus on one thing. Well, like, yeah. And what I realized is I was happy. So look, there's things that I know are going to make me money, and there's things that fill me up. All of them don't have to be the same. Like there's businesses that I view as impact businesses. And if we make a lot of money, great, but I don't really care. And then there's businesses that I know can make me a ton of money. But like, I need all of them to make me whole. And so I've stopped questioning it, and I've just leaned into all of it. Mm-hmm. And it seems to be working out pretty good, and so if I'm in a better mood, and so my question to you is, how many things are you holding back from because people told you can't do this? Or how many injected values of others are you living, right? How many injected viewpoints, limiting beliefs, whatever that is. Right. Like the question is, I have a big problem with most people because they're telling me they're all in. They're telling me they're all in. Here's my game I play with them. It's very simple. What would it look like if you were to go all in for the next 90 days on your health, your mindset, your business, everything? If you were to clean out the distractions, and you were to eat good, you were to work out, you were to dial 10 extra calls a day, you were to do all those things, what would it look like? Okay. And they label off like, oh, I would be happier. I'd have more money. I'd be more free. Okay. What would be the negative for you to go all in? I've done it 150 times and nobody's ever had a negative. So the question is that you're not all in. You think you're all in, but you're not. Yeah. And the question is, I'm all in on my vision. I'm all in on my clients. I'm all in on my life. And so if you were to be all in, then there's only positives that are going to come out with it. Even if it doesn't wind up the way that you wanted it, at least you're that much farther ahead. And so, the deal with me is when you meet me, I'm going to ask you there's a couple things that are going to happen. One, you might move to Europe, or you might travel. The second thing is you might quit your job. And the third thing is you might double your goals. Because there's nothing bad that's going to come out of those things. It's just the fear of like, what happens if, right? And here's the crazy thing. And this is where it gets wild. I actually don't think that it's failure that's holding people back. I actually think that the fear of success is almost more scary than failure. What if it all works out? What if everything works great? What if I have more clients than I can handle? What if I have more money than I can handle? That's actually way more scarier for people, because failure is just mediocrity. That's super easy. Right. I can show up every day and fail. And I've actually tapped in to realize that it's actually the success that's scaring them more than the failure.
Interesting. I can see that for sure. A lot of people like, what am I going to do? I had this conversation with a mutual friend of ours, Leland, right? People are worried about step 10 when they haven't even done step 1. They're like, what's going to happen when I'm at 6 figures a month or whatever? Yeah. It's like, dude.
As my buddy would say, one of my favorite people in the entire world, who's the savagest business guy, he did a whole speech and everybody's like, what about taxes? What about this? And he goes, I would love for that to be a problem.
Yeah, that's a great problem. It means you're making a whole lot of money and things are working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%.
That's a great mindset, because a lot of people are worried about all these things and they're not even there. It's like, you're only going to get taxed if you're making money. If you're not making money, you're going to pay zero taxes. But
great plan.
Like you said, mediocrity. Do you want to be mediocre or do you want to be amazing and push for greatness? And I love the thing that you said also about there's no negatives that people can list off, and they're just like, huh, why am I not going all in?
Yeah.
Well, no,
And the thing is this is to reframe. I know what time this is right now. I don't know when this is going to come out, but I know where we are in the market. I coach like fucking 10 agents. I know where we are. But the question is when I say all in, I didn't say just business.
On everything.
How about go all in on yourself? Like, how about actually ask yourself if you actually want to be a fucking agent? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, have those questions. This gives you the space and the time to realize, like, maybe I not want to leave it yet, but maybe a year from now, I want to make a point to say, I'm going to do that then, right? This is, when I say all in, I'm talking about just on life. Like, I am so excited every morning to go all in because who knows who we can impact today? Who knows what business we can create? Who knows what we can do? And actually, to be honest with you, the thing that we're running into is like people can't run as fast as we can run.
Yeah.
So like, unfortunately, we just have to create the businesses because they're not all in on themselves. And I can't have the standard is set so high because I just want to create a space where you can enjoy life the way that it's supposed to be done. You can because maybe it is, and if that's your thing, have at it. But like I last like a day on a beach, like a day, and I'm like, okay, that's good. Let's like, so like the way I was raised, like a good hard day's worth of work, it makes those days even better when you take the time off, right?
Right.
And so we're acting like that is what we need, when ultimately it might just mean you need more work. But the bigger issue that we run into is that the work they're doing is not the work they should be doing.
Yeah.
And so time in seat doesn't mean that you're actually getting work done. A lot of people just work 15 hours a day and think there's stuff getting going on. But like, are you actually like moving the needle? So like, take whatever it is that you think needs to happen, write down the top 10 things that need to happen, put it in a list of 1 to 10. My favorite thing to do is give me the 10 things that you need to get done in the next 90 days. Take that list, then write that list from 1 to 10 in the top priority. And you know what happens every time? Personal things go straight to the top of the list.
That's interesting.
So it's working out, drinking, eating better, spending time with friends, loved ones.
Taking care of yourself. Yeah.
Taking care of yourself. Then you could show up in the business parts better.
That's awesome. So for the 10 things, I'm curious because I've talked to a million different people about power lists and what do you put on your power list and how do you know when to take it off? Like Andy Frisella talks about, take it off whenever you're taking care of that thing and you're doing the right steps. For your 10 things in the next 90 days, do you have any feedback from anyone else? Or is that just like, hey, these are the things I feel are right?
Yeah, we work off of an EOS system with like a hybrid model of some other stuff, but we have rocks. Cool. That we just had a rock meeting right now, actually. So that helped us focus on the main things and then the break-offs of that. But I think what's the most important is to understand, I believe there's different seasons in life. And so when you assess your 10 things or your rocks, understand what season that could be. Like maybe it's a chance to dial your health in and like business is important, but it's not the thing. Maybe this month is the business thing. Maybe it's make more connections outside of that. Really understanding what you need to get out of it is the most important thing. And as long as you're focused on the thing, because I think like ultimately as people, we just make everything way too complicated.
We do.
Way too complicated. Like business, like my favorite quote is George Bernard Shaw. The single greatest problem with communication is the illusion that has taken place. And so we've acted like we've communicated to the outside world or ourselves what we want it to happen. But like what I get my clients to do is like, here's the thing, right? Here's the goal, like whatever that is, make 100 contacts. Okay, what's the actions that need to take place every week to do that? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, what's the feelings you're going to feel if you don't do it? What's the feelings you're going to feel if you do it? Okay, now we have the feeling associated with the task. So now we've attached the emotion with the feeling, with the action. Boom, let's go to work. And then once they start doing that, then they start leaning into that, and then boom, 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 boom. And the thing is that, like, I tell you a perfect example. This is how I work because I don't have time for any wasted motions. we were at my fiance's sister's house, and we were talking about a job opening that I have in one of the companies I work. So while she's telling me what she does and what would be good for her, I'm texting the co-owner, hey, this is this person. She has this work ethic, blah, blah, blah. She'd be great for this role at this price. And he goes, sounds good, approved. So like, we're 5 minutes into the conversation. I go, well, the job's yours if you want it.
Wow.
And she's like, holy crap. And I'm like, yeah, like, why are we going to have this long drawn out? I know who you are. I know what you stand for. I know the company. I know the person. So in 5 minutes, we got you a new job when the normal process would have taken 2 months. Now she still has to go through an interview, still has to meet everybody, still has to get, but like, it's there, it's already done. Like, that's how we should operate. And one of the things that we hear from our board of directors that we hired for our company that we brought in, especially each person, Leland being one of those people, one of the things that they pride us on is your speed is ridiculous. Like, every time we say do this or you should do this, like, they come back and it's like bam, 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 done. You know, like, I have this thing where I never want to be the cog in the wheel. Like, I have this fear, like this, I don't, good or bad or indifferent.
Bottleneck.
I never want to be the bottleneck. So we try to decentralize all the information to one place, money.com. And then that way everybody has access to information. Some people like to work at night. Some people work in the mornings. Some people work during the days. Everybody doesn't have to get up at 4 a.m. And so just the speed in which we do it and having everything decentralized allows us to move a lot quicker. So we're not waiting on said human.
Yeah. I was going to ask what you use, because I use Asana. I've heard a lot of people use Monday.com.
We use Asana in a lot of the groups. And so we use mind maps. We lay out mind maps with the process of the who, the how. Then we break that down into framework, paperwork. Then that gets translated into Monday.com.
Okay.
And then we have a backup in Dropbox.
Cool. And then you just assign based on whoever owns that activity or business.
Exactly. So we have a task list. So I have 6 BAs for all the companies. So we found out through our clients that the client cannot handle the VA. The client is not the best at, so we manage the VAs. The client tells us what product they need. The project manager lays out the VA's task, and then they get to pull the task out, assign it to themselves, track their hours, and then shove it back in there. And then they review it, and then it gets sent to the client.
Interesting. Okay. So you manage both the VAs and then the clients as well. And then you just reach out directly to the VAs based on what needs to happen. That makes a lot of sense, because the clients are like, what do we say?
Yeah, the client is not, they don't have the scale of like understanding human emotion, like all that stuff, like where they work, what they do. Like, I'm very familiar with the Filipino culture. Like, I know how they work. So like, I know what they need. So like, we just try to do it for like a month, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So I just took everything back, and it's a lot easier this way. And we have project managers that oversee, and then I have a lead VA, and she oversees their work. So the work's getting checked 3 times before it gets to the client.
Very cool. So you have multiple checks to make sure nothing slips through the cracks that shouldn't.
And there's a book. It's $1.99. I've read it 7 times. It has pictures and everything. This amazing coach named Dan Sullivan, who wrote, he's the inspiration to Who Not How, The Gap in the Game, which I think The Gap in the Game is one of the best books I've ever written for any entrepreneur out there. But it's called Self-Managing Business. It's $1.99 on Kindle. And basically, we created this company, self-managing company, where 90% of the work that we're doing is done by other people with our values and basic business. So it allows us to be client-facing. It allows us to be in the marketplace. It allows us to be on podcasts. It allows us to do the work that we need to, that only us can do, and then vice versa. And so the team has a full mission. So when we're coaching a company, right? A quintessential people, let's say there's 8 of you, right? We coach a couple brokerages. What the easy thing to do would be to like, hey, this is how you work on identity. This is how you work on mindset. Like, do this. Okay, that's not how we do that. So I would meet with you individually. I would meet with your team individually. I would meet with the small staff on individually. And I would find a common thread that winds all 8 people together that they can hang their hat on. And that's the driving force. Instead of putting them in a wood chipper, which 90% of coaches do, and saying, just do our system, blah, 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 blah. And then everybody's like, well, that doesn't fit me. That doesn't fit me. That doesn't fit me. So you have to individually meet everybody on the team, understand what their wants and needs are, and then you build a system around that. And I think that's what makes us stand out in the rest of the people. Yeah.
Well, I know the school system sounds a lot like that too, where, hey, they're, even if you're a round peg, they're going to stick you in the square hole, right? They don't really custom tailor it based on your personality, your why, your motivation. So that really does sound like it differentiates you, because you are making sure to find the alignment between the team members and make sure they're all kind of pointing in the same direction.
Oh yeah, it's so important, because I've spent most of my life going, this doesn't
Makes sense, really.
this
It
not
doesn't
me.
excite me. Yeah.
This doesn't excite me. And so, spending enough time chasing your own kind of tail between your legs, you realize, like, if people have different motivations. Some people want
Yeah.
money, some people don't, some people want security, and kind of understanding those core abilities is really important when you're helping people.
Absolutely. Well, we talked about a lot of amazing stuff. Is there anything that we're missing? Is there a question I should have asked you that I did not ask you? I always love to just see the nuggets that I have not extracted just yet.
Yeah, my hope for everybody that's listening, the main point I want to get across is that don't you ever let anybody tell you to think smaller. I think what I've noticed is I think a lot of people allow other people to dictate their dreams and beliefs. I had a guy DM me the other day, and he goes, I'm really trying not to dream that big, because sometimes that gets out of hand. And I go, let it get out of hand.
I love that. I can
he was
relate
like,
to
he
that.
was like, he was like, nobody's ever told me to let it get out of hand.
Grant Cardone might, right? Nah,
Yeah.
how do you make 20 times more a month? Like,
No, and it's not even about money. It's just about maybe that one idea inspires something else.
Think bigger. Yeah.
Think bigger, right? I'm not saying you have to go do that thing, but that might unlock something else. I think too many of us are conditioned to think in patterns, and ultimately unbreaking the pattern is really what creates the momentum.
How do you think bigger? Is there like a tip to it? I know
You
obviously
read a
you got to
book,
hang
you read
out
a
with big
book that
people.
everybody hates, I suggest for them. It's called Big Magic. And basically, it's a book about the lady who wrote You Pray Love. And I make business guys read it, and they get so mad at me. They're like, no, I want to learn multifamily. I want to learn how to flip. And I'm like, listen, read it and take the lessons from it. The basic lesson is we each have innate art within us. And if we don't use it, it passes on to somebody else.
That's
and
awesome.
So if you don't use your thing,
you're going to lose it.
Don't, then you're going to lose it. And you're wondering where it went. It went to somebody else. Right?
Who was willing to take action on it.
I'll tell you the story that literally like almost made me pull the car off the side of the road. So there's this woman who looked up to this mentor who was one was in California, one was in Minnesota. So she had this crazy idea to write this book. It came to her in her dreams about a 1930 gold farmer in a small town in Argentina, about a love story, right? And she never got around to writing this story. Ever. Like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Like it never just didn't start the story. It was an amazing story. She was at a workshop and she meets her mentor. And her mentor says, I have to tell you about this amazing book I'm in the middle of writing about a 1930s Argentina farmer who found gold and fell in love. They've never met before. And she said, it was in that moment that I had to let that story go, because I let my art pass on to her. Yeah. And it was like, holy mother. Like, okay, so by you not chasing your gifts, by you playing small, you're being selfish to the world.
You're not sharing
your gifts. And so every time that you're not starting the podcast, every time you're not saying your message, every time you're not picking up that book, a little piece of you goes away. And so I'm not saying say yes to everything, but what I'm saying is say yes to yourself.
Very powerful message. And that story also just gives you goosebumps, just imagining what are all the things that I've slept on that others have now taken from me, right? That power, the magic.
Do you know this? Do you know the story about Michael Jackson?
I don't think I do. No.
He would freak out that when a song came to him, he would have to write it right then, because
before someone else did.
He said, if I don't, Prince will.
That was his fear. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I hear some entrepreneurs, and I know sometimes a lot of people are like, no one's going to steal your idea. No one cares, right? Especially the new entrepreneurs that want you to sign the NDA and they don't want to tell anybody.
Yeah. That's my favorite.
They're like, dude,
Leland goes, yeah, that'll pan out.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, I'm totally going to just steal your idea and run with it and spend hours of my life on this dream that isn't even mine. It doesn't really happen, but it is an interesting concept to help motivate yourself to put a timeline and have some sense of urgency, because I think so many people put things off because they assume they have the time. I don't need to do it now. I can do that next year. Maybe that's my 5-year goal. And they just push their dreams off into the future and it never happens.
So true. Love it.
Awesome. Such a powerful message. But Austin, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I mean, I took 2 pages of notes, and I didn't want to look like I was looking away too much, but I always love just taking notes as we go through. And where can our audience go to connect with you, to learn more, to check out your podcast? Is there a great, I guess, austinlinney.com or something?
Just austinlinney.com.
Okay.
Has the podcast, has everything. You can shoot me a message on Instagram, austinlinney.com. Happy to help anybody. One of the things I have fun doing sometimes, because I play games to see who's actually gonna step up.
Take action.
One of my favorite quotes is from Jim Rome. You know what the top 1% does that others don't do? They ask. And so one time I went on active duty. Passive income is my buddies, and I said, okay, I'll give my number out and see, because nobody ever, and like 20 people text me for like my free Airbnb stuff. So same thing. AJ Linney, LINNEY @gmail.com. Shoot me an email. Tell me you heard me on Chris's thing. Happy to send you over Airbnb stuff. I've got mindset training, whatever you do. If you hear this episode, send it. Take action today. That's my hope for everybody.
Take action, everybody. That is the takeaway. I love it. As long as you are taking action, you'll make sure that people don't steal your dreams or your ideas or your songs if you're a future Michael Jackson in the making. So
I love it.
Austin, thanks again for your time. This has been awesome. I'll let you know as soon as it goes live, and I'll share all the links.
All right. Thanks, guys.